Is a spirituality a thing? For many years of my life, I was in denial of a spirituality until like around 10 years ago, I came to direct connection with the spirituality. So it was almost impossible to deny it anymore. And today I want to talk about that. Today I want to share with you how to think like a spiritual person, because the intellectual mind is really going to block the spiritual mind. The intellectual mind is really going to cast a big shadow over this spiritual experience. And the reason is just very simple. The reason is that we live our life completely unplugged from the spiritual world, unplugged from the spiritual mind, and fully plugged into the intellectual mind, fully plugged into the psychology. Not so much in direct connection with the spirit, in direct connection with the feeling, with the nervous system. At some point in your life, in my life, we need to drop this intellectual mind. At some point, we need to dissolve into something that we don't understand. Because if you think that you understand and you do things in life, my friend, you're only bound to fail. You must stay open. You must stay open to the possibility of a spirituality. Regardless of how bad you hate this world, regardless of how absurd this world look to you, regardless of how much your mind wants to stop you from reaching the state of metaphysics. Because perhaps you grew up in a country that everyone pretty much told you, come on man, be real. Come on man, don't go on create gods in your head, religion in your head. Or maybe someone like me that grew up in a very religious environment, so naturally you end up antagonizing it, naturally you end up pretty much hating it, because the idea of the mass religion is absurd, right? The idea of the mass religion is somehow delusional. Therefore, if you can think a little bit, you just simply rejected. You just simply like, oh, this is ridiculous. This whole idea of mass religion is absolutely ridiculous because nothing makes sense. This is where you need to stay open. This is where you need to simply stay open to the miracle. It's like, I know your brain is simply rejecting any types of miracle. But then if you stay open to that state of miraculous, to that state of proof, not evidence, because all of our life we look for evidence. And that's why we think we understand things, because we have evidence. But in fact, in the world that I'm talking about, evidence cannot do anything. Because the world, the spirituality world, the world that is beyond your understanding, is beyond your current fathomable state, does not have any evidence. It's just a proof itself. It's a proof. When you see it, you see it. When it's proved to you, it's proved. You cannot go back and say, okay, now I reject it. You can't, it's like, it's not an evidence. Therefore, we live our life looking for evidence. Therefore, you think you understand certain things in life. You think that because certain things work certain ways, therefore, I have quite a good understanding of it. But my friend, that's not the case. At least it wasn't for me. And if you have this analytical mind, if you have this intellectual mind, if you have the mind that is driving you crazy, then open yourself to this spiritual world. Then open yourself to the miraculous world. Then open yourself to the possibility of living your life spiritually. Think like a spiritual person. Become a spiritual person. Then things will start happening. Simple, easy. Then synchronicities are there. Then abundance is there. Prosperity. Because the physical realm needs to be sorted for you to be able to step into this spiritual realm. Therefore, as soon as you walk into the stream, as soon as you open yourself to the spiritual experience, your physical world will be sorted. This is by design. This is simply detaching yourself from the worldly desires. This is simply detaching yourself from the mind. Then there is no intellectual mind to tell you, yo, you gotta do all of these things to be able to have a good life. What is a good life? Can you show me one person that is living a good life? Think it's spiritual. And that's easy. There are so many practices that it helps you to think as spiritual. There are so many people out there that if you look at their life, if you follow their life, you encounter miracles. That's why people go on worship gurus. That's why people go on for the search of their master. Because that person can show you miracles. And this is not everyone can see that miracle, you know. It's very individual miracle. It's very pointed at you kind of miracle. Therefore, people go on, look for that person that can show the miraculous state of being to them. After that, things are easy. After that, there is not much to worry. After that, it's like, okay, I have no attachment to this worldly desire, because it's absolutely absurd to come face to face with something so insanely profound that simply make you lose your mind and say, okay, now I want to go back to the mind. It's impossible. You cannot go back to the mind. How is that even possible? You already lost your mind by looking at the miracle. If I split the moon in front of you, what would happen to your head? You will just simply explode. We need to go toward this spirituality. This is a must. This is a need. For people that can think, they need to think spiritual. They need to look at things differently. They need to give themselves a chance to be and become a spiritual. Regardless of how old you are, young, perhaps middle-aged, perhaps old, it doesn't matter. Think spiritual. Open yourself to this spirituality. Allow the spirituality become part of your life. Allow this possibility of living a spiritual life be there. Don't get so much involved in ambition. Don't get so much involved in trying to make something out of your life. You know, it's just like, it's useless. Yes, you can live a life that you're rich, you're wealthy, perhaps you make lots of money. That's okay. But live it spiritually. Live it open. Then when it's the time when it's just simply the spiritual world have better qualities than your intellectual world, then you can just shift. Then you can just simply transition into that world. But at the moment it's hard. At the moment perhaps you're involved with so much of this mind that it does not allow you to live spiritual. And all I'm here for is to show you the way. All I'm here for is to guide you into that world. Yeah. Thank you. Much love.